Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Non-Traditional Headspace. As you can see, I did a little bit of makeup because I have nothing to do, so I started playing with makeup. I haven't done like heavy makeup on myself for a while, so whatever. Hope it doesn't look so bad. Like I really haven't practiced at all. Today I'm going to record two episodes. The first one is going to be random stuff, like what's going on in the trending topics, and then we're going to talk about a specific topic that I think it's a good time to share this with you and related to specific series that I watch. Now, let's start with the whole TikTok being canceled in the US. That's something that has been going on back and forth in people's social media these days. There's a worry out there about what will happen with those people who, depend on TikTok as a platform. And there's debates that have come out of it that are interesting to me because it caught my attention to see how people seem to be very much concerned about what might happen with this platform. I particularly don't use this platform. I still don't know how to use it properly. I still don't understand. There's new things coming up more and more every 2 or 3 months. There's updates to the platform. Like for instance, I had no idea that they had like this whole like TikTok shop that is similar to like the Facebook shops that people have, but also related like to like Amazon links that people do to their profiles so that they promote products and then people, get rewarded by TikTok itself for promoting products that direct people to their TikTok shop. So I had no idea. So apparently there's a lot of people making a lot of money with this now, and that is why a lot of people are very much concerned about what might happen if they ban this platform in the US. Now, what I think is, of course, there's other hidden purposes behind the cancellation or proposing the cancellation. What scares me is that normally the political parties that usually go against each other are agreeing on this in some way. So whether it's they want to benefit certain people or enterprises that benefit in the US from having TikTok cancel, it's not that they want to cancel. Basically, what they're trying to do, I understand, is they're trying to make the owner of TikTok sell his part of the company so it can be American owned, which is very convenient, right, for them to do it that way. But he has not accepted, and if he doesn't accept, then they're threatening to ban the platform. And that's scary because normally they wouldn't agree, right? Or at least they pretend not to agree most of the time for people to take sides. But for this specific topic, they seem to be agreeing on trying to ban it. What's going on social media and the concerns of people who benefit from this is that they will lose the platform that has provided them a place to, go viral and start monetizing from it, which I understand. If you have been able to monetize from it and you have made good money out of it, well, fine. Of course, you will be concerned because it's a source of income for you. But there's also a lot of people out there that are monetizing from it while putting trash content out there, like literally trash content. And I'll give you some examples. I follow this media creator for a while now. I'm not actually following her platforms now because I decided to pull out because I didn't like the type of content she was putting out. So I just unfollowed. But whether you want it or not, people send you this type of content because everybody else is watching it, especially people from Honduras because she's from Honduras. So it's lipstick fables, right? She has been doing it for a while now, more than 10 years, and she has a program on a sort of show, podcast, or, well, live program that they usually have that they record where they debate these type of things, and it's like mediatic topics, things that are trending and news on social media. And part of the topics that they were discussing was this. And they addressed people, like I said, who have been benefiting from the platform, but because they're doing trash content all the time, which, if you ask me, I would agree for them to go away. But also knowing that people like, and I'm going to say specific people now, there is this woman who is from the Garifuna community, because if you look at her, you can tell right away that she is from this community, whether her parents or her grandparents were born in this community in Honduras, the Garifuna community, which is the black people community in Honduras. You can tell that she comes from that. Okay? The problem is that she is the type of person that only seems to confirm stereotypes, the stereotypes that don't help these type of communities, or to give a better name to our country, in this case, Honduras. Because what she's putting out there is trash content, and she's not doing anything. Actually, she doesn't have a formal, normal job. What she does is she goes online, makes these lives, and then starts battling, which is something that I quite don't understand entirely. I don't know how to do that. I have no idea how it really, really works. Because, like I said, this is not what I'm into. But she's asking people to send her money through these platforms by doing these battles and lives where people send you gifts through, icons like I heard it's lions, roses, and depending on the item that they send you, there is an amount related to the item of quantity of money. And I'm sorry, but the stereotype that we have of Garifuna people is that they do not like to work, that they depend most of the time on remittances that are sent by their family members that live in, whether it's the US or any foreign country, and they just sit down and wait for them to send money back home, and that's what they live from. Very little part of them actually work. Not that all of them don't, but a great majority. And it has to do because of other external factors that we can go into that another day. But she's just fulfilling a stereotype. And that's why I would be glad, if people like her go away. If this is the content people are putting in, watching, what are you doing? You're really wasting your time watching this shit. This woman can barely speak. And it's not that I'm attacking her directly, but I'm sorry, she's just the perfect example for this. She can barely speak Spanish, which is her mother tongue, And the irony of all this is that she's actually living in the US now, where she also, again, is also playing in for the stereotype that people have already about immigrants coming into the US. That they go there and they're not doing anything. They are not really doing something for society there. They're not contributing at all. And I don't think she's contributing at all. Her content is trash. She's not doing anything. I understand she's a single mom or whatever. But just listening to this person speak, it makes you feel ashamed. And the fact that there's people out there celebrating what she's doing, this is the concern that most people who are normal, society, productive people would be concerned of. Having people like her in these platforms making money because she lives, her income at the end of the day to support her family comes from that. But it's concerning because these people are even making, and they send me this, where there's a video where she's saying, I think we can play it here, where she's saying that she is making more money than a lot of other people and making fun of it. It's very derogatory the way she's saying. Which makes you think, why are we empowering these people? And then for me, it's perfect. Go away. Get rid of these people. Just get rid of them. If this is going to help make that cleanup on social media, perfect. Then the other people who have benefited from the platform by doing the normal stuff that everybody does. They show up their skills. They post a lot of videos about that. dancing, singing, making covers, or being very informative about stuff, or cooking recipes. Like, it's a reference now these days, I understand the platform, for many things that people would normally look up in other places. Like, sometimes most of us, old millennials, would go there and Google it, but people are doing it. They're searching things on TikTok. There's no problem with that. But then all this trash that our people are putting out there, get rid of it. And I'm in favor of that 100%. So if that's the case, to get rid of this type of people, I'm up for it 100%. Then they also talked about another person. His name is Carlos, I think, Espino.
Mi gente, denle tac tac a la pantalla, tac tac a la pantalla, tac tac a la pantalla, tiren rositas, tiren de todo, que van a eliminar TikTok, mi gente. Vamos, 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 mi gente. Tírenme todo lo que tengan, así no tengo que seguir trabajando, mi gente. No quiero trabajar, mi gente, por favor. Tac tac a la pantalla, rositas.
And apparently he got upset and he got their TikTok, I'm talking Lipstick Fables, profile canceled on TikTok because he didn't agree with their opinion about him. Because they were talking about a video in TikTok where he started like mocking the people who will stop receiving an income that dedicate themselves, like this person that I gave you an example of.
No, León. Oh. Me ahorraste una semana de trabajo. Gracias, Dios. Dale, tac, tac a la pantalla, tac, tac a la pantalla. Así van a estar, mi gente, así van a estar. Muchos saluditos y bendiciones.
From making battles or lives and receiving money from people just by sitting there all day connected to. I agreed with the Lipstick Fables people and their panel there. You know why? Because you can't be a hypocrite in these things. Like, if you're using it, like, I cannot be a hypocrite. I cannot come here and tell you, oh, I'm 100% happy that they're banning TikTok in the US. Well, I'm speaking English to you when my mother tongue is in Spanish because I'm trying to reach to more people. So, of course, being on TikTok is another way of reaching to more people. So, let's just accept it. But don't come here and start making fun of others. It's whether you agree or disagree. That's my point. Like, there's no meet point there, okay? Whether he agrees or disagrees. And apparently this guy is studying in the US to become a lawyer. And he's like more and more like shifting to a particular political party. Apparently he's shifting to the Biden party. If it's convenient for him now, I get it. Like, it's normal. Sometimes there's opportunities that are brought up to your life and have to do with things. But don't mix up things where you're shooting yourself on your foot, okay? Just don't do that. And this is what they were trying to explain in this panel, in her show with the rest of the panelists there, because there's no need to offend others, If you're going to talk about something, talk with facts or things that are obvious to the public. But him making fun and then what in English they call backpedaling and pussy popping, that ain't allowed here, sir. Like, what are you doing? Like, backpedaling and pussy popping. Come on, own your shit. That's all I'm saying. And they were right about calling him out. And him being upset and asking TikTok to close their profile.
Vi tu video y dices que ganas un aproximado de $1 millón, más de $1 millón. ¿Cuánto de eso te genera a ti?
Bueno, es que TikTok en cierta manera es todo, porque si no hubiera sido por TikTok no hubiera crecido en las otras plataformas, pero ahora como crecí en TikTok y me establecí en otras plataformas, yo diría que el TikTok sería como el 50% de eso o posiblemente más. Es que luego cambian, ¿verdad? Cuánto te pagan por vistas, luego pues también haces colaboraciones y te pagan también para publicar en TikTok y en Instagram, entonces te pagan, es un poco difícil decir exactamente esto, pero sí es una gran parte de mi ingreso, aunque realmente no es algo que me preocupe tanto en lo personal, porque como yo he dicho en mi contenido, casi todo lo que hago en redes sociales lo dono para mis proyectos, así que a mí lo que más me preocupa es no poder continuar con esos proyectos de ayuda a la comunidad, porque gracias a TikTok he podido crear una comunidad donde yo no dependo de donadores o yo no dependo de gente que diga, oh, yo te voy a apoyar, yo puedo ser autosuficiente con lo que me pagan las vistas y con eso ayudar a tanta gente que ha ayudado a través de mis videos.
That's just a very childish and lame way of doing things. So every time somebody disagrees with you, you're going to ask them to cancel their channel or their profile. I mean, what age are you? Like, seriously, you can't go around doing that. That's freedom of speech. And it amazes me that somebody who's studying law would come up with something like that. Because that lets you know a lot about the person then. Like, are you willing to listen to other people's opinions, or are you just here to put out your opinion and not care about it? Like I said, we're all entitled to our opinion. And if we don't like something, like I told you right now, I didn't like the content that she was putting up so much. Like, I didn't like to see it on my feeds because I was not relating to it. So what did I do? I unfollowed. Okay, I unfollowed. You have that option. You don't like what they're saying about you, then move on. But everybody's, if you're out here, if we put ourselves in these platforms, there's always going to be people that will agree with you, and there's always going to be people that don't agree with you. So we have to be willing to accept that. Okay? Again, this person, and there's videos of this, and they played it in the panel, and we can have it here today as well, where he is explaining publicly, it's pinned on his profile, how much money he made out of TikTok and social media platforms.
Tienes más de 8 millones de seguidores en TikTok. ¿Más o menos cuánto dinero ganas al año?
Bueno, yo gano, he hecho un video sobre esto en total en redes sociales, más de 1 millón al año. Gran parte es el TikTok, obviamente Facebook, Instagram, colaboraciones, pero yo diría que alrededor de la mitad es a través de TikTok, de las vistas que generan. Teniendo 8 millones de seguidores, estoy generando más de 300,000, 400 millones de vistas al mes, 400 millones al mes.
Ok, entonces, si el Congreso de los Estados Unidos decide prohibir TikTok, ¿qué pasa contigo? ¿Qué pasa con tu negocio? ¿Qué pasa con miles de influencers como tú?
Bueno, para mí TikTok no es tanto un negocio, yo lo he dicho varias veces en mis videos, yo lo que gano en redes sociales lo dono a diversas causas o ayudo a gente que lo necesita, así que para mí obviamente sería un duro golpe para el trabajo comunitario que hago, pero lo que yo más perdería sería ese alcance. No hay otra plataforma que te ayuda a llegarle a tantas personas como es TikTok.
The hypocritical part here is that he is making fun of others that will be affected by the fact that it might get to a point where they can ban it in the US, and mocking that. But at the same time, he is talking in Univision, which is Latin American, channel that people tune into a lot for news. Although I think there's a lot of trash news also in that channel, if you ask me. But that's people's choices. So he is sitting with a reporter from Univision explaining that how he would be affected by the fact that they banned TikTok. Like somebody like him, how he would be affected. So, I mean, again, backpedaling and pussy popping. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? Talking about influencers, people affected, people who we consider, or I consider, that it would be good for society for them to be banned. Others would be affected, and I wouldn't like others to be affected. But let's talk about other type of influencers that are going out there that are being part of the news these days. Dylan Mulvaney. I heard about this guy because he started coming up with the whole Bud Light, situation. Remember, he was caught on the fire when he appeared in an ad campaign for Bud Light. Now, Bud Light fucked up big time because for some reason they decided to go incursionating in this and being more inclusive, including in their management was the lady who they had in their marketing management lead. And by allowing her to just do whatever she wanted, they made a huge mistake by fucking their fan base, which is their actual consumer base, by adding Dylan Mulvaney to their campaign to promote the beer, which nothing against the transgender community at all. Okay? Not that you have to particularly be against the community. Let's leave that aside, please. It's just that by logic, Bud Light has never addressed their consumer base that has not been involved with transgender community in high levels or percentages historically. Speaking of the brand Bud Light, right? So that's why the whole mayhem became a problem, and guess what? They realized they had fucked up. They fired the crazy lady because, they have to find the scapegoat, and she was the scapegoat. She got fired, and they tried to fix it. And I'm sure till this day, they're still regretting that decision because I believe they lost more than $1 billion with that campaign using this individual to promote the product, which their consumers were very open to speak up and let them know that they were not going to support the brand if they started shifting. And you know what? Again, has nothing to do whether you're inclusive, whether you're against it or in favor of it. I'm talking about the transgender community. Some people have certain preferences and choices, but like consumers don't like it. Guess what? People who like it will go and find the product that they associate it with. And that's that. Bud Light fucked up. Problem is that recently, as you know, it was International Women's Day, right? And it becomes now International Women's Month because they're trying to, give more importance to women. And when I say women, I want to make it quite clear that we're speaking about biologically born women. Again, whether you like it or not, I have nothing against the transgender community. I don't. But this is International Women's Day, Biologically Born Women's Day, and month now. Here comes Lady Gaga, which is somebody that I like for her talents in music. Now she has proven to also impersonate in films and even beauty with her makeup line, etc. Bravo! Great. I love Lady Gaga. I have been a huge fan since all of her famous records came out. Huge fan since the beginning, Poker Face, Bad Romance, Born This Way, and all the newest ones. But Lady Gaga, just like Bud Light, fell for the thirst trap of Dylan Mulvaney. And I feel sorry for Lady Gaga. Not that she cares that if I feel sorry or not, and she won't probably be affected by it, because she is recognized for her talent. She is actually a talented human being. And she doesn't depend on looks or anything for that, which is something that we recognize from her. And that's why people love her. And she's also very inclusive, which again, I'm okay with that. But the fact that she fell for the thirst trap of this individual, which I don't even know what to call him at this point because it's not really quite defined yet by himself what he is, and I'm calling him a he because for me he's a man, okay? He's a man, and we can have that discussion separately as well. The point is that she fell for it by allowing him to trap her into the idea that it was a good idea to promote that on International Women's Day. This guy that has gone out to the world explaining how he behaves like a woman, because I think he has like a series of recordings where he recorded himself like a girlhood or whatever, which is interesting because then he started shifting from calling himself a woman or wanting to be a woman to actually being a girl. Like, we're not talking about a grown woman at this point. He wanted to be a girl, like a minor. How fucked up is that? And I know that a lot of transgender community members agree on these because this is not what represents them. These kind of people is the actual people who actually make other people who are already biased to be more biased towards the community and the acceptance of it because they have this clown figures like this man who's just looking for attention. And that has nothing to do with your gender, sir. That has more to do with you looking for attention, and that is a mental issue that you have, okay? Seeking for attention in any way possible is a mental health issue, and you should get that addressed. And it has nothing to do whether you want to call yourself a cat, a dog, a woman, a girl, whatever. I'm telling you, just get the fuck out of our day. Like, let women have their day. You're not a woman. And we understand that and actually respect that to some level. But when you come and try to disturb something that is made specifically for a purpose, which is applauding women, like biological women, you have your day, you have your month for your community, so be satisfied with that. Okay? You attention whore. That's what you are, an attention whore. Yes, I'm going to call that one out. Attention whore. Okay? And that's where I'll leave it. I hope Lady Gaga realizes that she fucked up, because you know what? It's obvious this person was looking for attention, because after he posted that and reposted that Lady Gaga was supporting him on that, guess what? He came out with a music video that I'll reserve my comments on that one, because we all have our opinions and we can all have our choices as to what to listen and what to watch. Like, that's trash for me, if you ask me, okay? But if you enjoy it, that's your choice. Go watch it, save it on your playlist, do whatever you want. But again, this person needs to understand boundaries, and the boundaries that he's trying to cross have got him already in so much trouble, and playing the victim is not going to save him this time. Like, women, real women out there, are not going to allow you to keep doing this to us. Like, come on. We are also going to fight for our right to enjoy what is made for us. You go enjoy your whatever, okay? And then related to this, well, there's also another, sort of coming out from Honduras, because there's a famous TikToker and social media character out there called La Bicha Catracha. He is also transgender, okay? Or at least that's what I understand. He was born a man and he's transitioning, okay? And in between that, he has proven to be a very respectful person, and I have nothing bad to say about him. I actually enjoy his content. I even have stickers. He has turned to mostly comedy, like making fun of things, and in a very respectful way. So I have nothing bad to say about his behavior on social media. He's actually been very respectful. What other people are having problem with him for is the fact that he came out and he said that he would like to represent Honduras in the pageant for become Miss Honduras, so then he can go and participate in Miss Universe. Okay? Thing is that people start, making a lot of assumptions without really making a deeper investigation. Now, there's things why I agree that he is right, like he's on his right to do this, and I'll explain to you why. And then there's certain things that maybe he needs to understand why people wouldn't be 100% in favor of him postulating himself to be the representative for Honduras. And I'm going to relate this with what I just said and talked about before. What I'm trying to explain here is that, for instance, the Miss Universe, at some point, in my opinion, it's a competition that will eventually have to disappear and go away, because the idea of making it inclusive and appealing for people who have been following the show for so long might not be there. Whether it's going to shift completely, I don't know. But in my point of view, it might end up disappearing if it keeps bringing all these troubles with it and issues. Because people are never going to be, in accordance with things, especially nowadays where everybody's like fighting in opinions, whether you like this or not. And if you don't agree, then you're not being inclusive and blah, blah, blah. But Miss Universe has been trying to separate themselves from this cookie cutter image that they have sold to us since we're little. This is what I remember since when I was little, that you have to look a certain way, which is the Barbie type silhouette. Actually, even the skin color, like if you had like this complexion that was perfect and mostly like a certain skin type, like white skin type, it's ideal. Like if you had blonde hair, mostly like a Barbie type, seriously. And then it has influenced cultures so much that we know, and this is facts that are known, that the misses from countries like Venezuela, which is a machine maker of Miss Universe pageants, right? We're talking about girls who are 5 years old and their parents or their mothers start training them to become Miss Universe or participate. They have made sure that they try to fit in so well in this mold of perfection that they go through a lot of procedures, surgical procedures to look like this. They're doing all the surgeries to try to look a certain way. So that already is debatable because most beautiful women in the world, but altered with plastic surgery, should we allow that? Like that's one, for instance. And then they started to be more inclusive because they said, okay, let's try to be more inclusive towards women who have a different body type, which is women who are thicker and not so skinny, like they have always told us, like the skinnier you are, the prettier you look. But that doesn't necessarily have to be true because, as we have said, like there's people who have different tastes. So some people like them thicker, some people like them skinnier, some people like them somewhere in between, It's up to you what you like. Anyway, so the point is that they had to become a little bit more inclusive in that part. So they're admitting like larger size women in the show, like in the Miss Universe competition. So after that, they have already come to a point where they have admitted transgenders to participate. We saw it it had to be last year, where was in El Salvador and Nicaragua won, and I think there were at least 2 of them that were transgenders participating. So it is openly known at this point that they are accepting transgenders. So if they are accepting transgenders, why can't La Bicha from Honduras, who is a transgender, participate? I mean, it's already happening, so why not? Right? So that I agree. Like she is in all her entire right because the competition, this worldwide competition, has already established in the parameters of the competition that they will accept transgenders in the competition. Agree with that or not, that is a discussion that a lot of people might still have till this day. Agree or not, okay? And we all can have our opinion on that. I know I have mine, but anyway, it's already that way. Where it becomes tricky for us is when we then have to think about the fact that if she is the one, speaking about her as a transgender person now, that looks like a woman, if she is the one chosen to represent Honduras, what happens is there is also a little bit of discrepancy when it comes to the percentage of women, like again, naturally born biological women from Honduras who have aspired to participate and represent Honduras in this beauty pageant competition since they're young. So there's a lot of people who have the same dream like the Bicha has. But by allowing her as a transgender to be the one representing the country, she's taking away the opportunity of a real biological woman to be the one representing the country. So in some way, if you think rationally in terms of percentages, people, and opportunities, it makes sense that women, and particularly women who aspire for that, might be offended. It's like the whole debate about that famous swimmer, transgender swimmer that was in the worst positions in the men's league, and now because she's a transgender, those are capacities, right? Because those are physical capacities that you could never compare between men and women. And then the debate is that this is for appearance, which is also debatable, and that's probably why it's accepted to have transgenders. Because if you judge something by outer physical appearance, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of transgenders there that look even nicer than certain women, like myself included. A lot of them are like prettier than me, and I'm not offended by that. Like, good job to the doctors for doing the job too. I cannot be mad at that. I actually would ask them, like, who did your work, probably, because it's so well done. And no offense again to Lavicha, I like that person. I think he's doing or she's doing no wrong in social media. And if he wins because of popularity, because people vote for him in Honduras, whether biased or not, because a lot of people are more supported the LGBT. Sorry about that, I don't know all the letters, so excuse me for that one. And no offense intended by not knowing it, okay? But what I mean is, so be it. If she wins, she wins. Like I said, there's that other part that might disappoint biological women who aspire to that position as well. But then let's just be rational and base this on votes, which is she can put herself out there, and if people vote for her, then people vote for her, And there's a reason why, because at the end of the day, Miss Universe is based on physical appearance. That is something that I actually don't agree about this competition, because it's very shallow, if you ask me, because it makes them aspire for something that sometimes we cannot be. Let's face it, a lot of women are born with bigger bone frames, so they will never be thin. And I know they're trying to make it more inclusive by including all the body types here, but still, I don't think we're doing anything positive out of these shows. And that's probably why at some point, in my opinion, it should disappear. And finally, well, there's another thing going on, which is about Macron's wife, which is the French president. And I'm not going to talk a lot about this. I'm just going to mention it because it relates to all of these transgender situations, social media, TikTok being banned, and how all this is viralizing in general. And Candace Owens has brought up again the story that Macron's wife is a man. This is so funny to me because I'm now living in France. And of course, I brought up the topic and I asked the French people here, and they're like, oh, this is nothing new to us. Like, they have been coming up with this conspiracy theory since he took power as president, and for us, it's nothing new. And here is where I actually admire the French mentality in that way, because for them, it's like, we don't even care. If she was a man or not, like, who cares? Now, the fact that Candace is also saying that this might be linked to darker political inclinations that affect, other things in society in general, or the guidance of the power in the world, or abuse of power, etc., that's something else. And that we should be interested in knowing. And they admit it. The French people say, if this is something that is linked to darker stuff that affects our economy, that affects our country, that affects, our politics, then we will be interested. But just bringing up that the president's wife is a man and transgender, whatever, we don't care. Like, we could care less. If that's his choice to be with that transgender person, we don't care. We don't give a fuck. And I actually agree on that. I think we shouldn't give a fuck. And speaking about French, the last thing I want to say is that I came up and bumped into a video where the CNBC, which has become like that Univision for Latin America, the CNBC is for Europe these days, and the US. And, well, they have a video on YouTube that is called The French Love American Fast Food. Okay? They're dedicating a video of why French people now love American fast food. So I saw that. I could not help but to go and see it. And in my mind, it's like, what the fuck is going on? The hell is frozen, people. Hell has frozen. Like, and there's people, like there's French people being interviewed in the video admitting that they like these fast food chains that have been emerging more and more here in the French territory, which is just funny to me because we all know, we're all aware about the ongoing, not so openly spoken about battle of who's better between Americans and French. So it's just funny that the CNBC published a video where French people are admitting that they are enjoying fast food. Is that something good? No, of course not. Like, I come from a culture, Latin American culture, that has been very much influenced by the US culture and these bad eating habits that have made us addicted to sugars, to trans fats, and fast food in general. And of course, I was addicted to this for my entire life. And I'm still struggling till this day to not cave into binge eat sweets, not binge eat fast food or, trash food. So sorry for the French people. If this is the case, it's coming to the point where they consider this a good thing. And the irony again of it all is that there's a French guy, and here's the clip. Like, I'm not even lying. I'm not making this up. There's a French guy saying that they enjoy the American fast food. They appreciate the American fast food even more than Americans themselves.
We appreciate more American fast food than Americans themselves.
Can you believe a French person saying this, for Christ's sake? Like, no, that's just surprising. Like, it's funny, actually. A French person saying that. Can you believe that? I can't. Like, that's funny to me. But of course they're going to say that they appreciate it more than Americans themselves. Like, of course they would say that, right? Of course. Of course you would find somebody from France saying that. Like, why wouldn't you? They think they're better than that. Like, he's coming out of a McDonald's, I think, and saying this. Like, dude, have you ever seen the openly addressed issue in the US that they're trying to fight obesity because people are addicted to this type of fast foods and unhealthy foods? And you're saying that you appreciate their fast food more than them? I think I have to take a second look at someone there. And with that being said, all that I'm going to add is like, well, probably in a few years from now, I might be tuning into the French version of one of my favorite shows that I like to binge watch sometimes, which is 6,000 Pound Life, from the US, Dr. Now. You might start considering diversifying and becoming more international here, because apparently French people are catching up with the fast food here. So guess what? You might have another franchise of your clinic here. So just saying, trying to be funny about that one. I actually enjoyed the show and how people manage to change their lives. Some of them don't, but for those who do, Anyway, I'm going to end it up here, and thank you for tuning in, and we'll see each other in the next video where I'm going to be addressing a more serious topic. Bye.